Welcome, everyone. You've reached Grandma Mo, and we're covering the WNBA Friday nights on Ion games. And this was one of the four that went down to either the last possession or the last minute of the game. Boy, what a game this was! This was pretty much even the whole way. The whole way. One team would get a lead, the other one come right back. There was a lot of big shots made in this game. Um, you know, overall pretty clean game. But one of the big stats that stood out to me was the points off turnovers. Turnovers were pretty even, but the points off turnovers were not. And as always, appreciate it if you can hit that subscribe button for me. So the points off turnovers, you had the Aces had 11 turnovers, and Phoenix had 12. But Phoenix only scored 7 points off those turnovers, and the Aces got 14. That's a 7-point difference. That's your, points in the paint were within a few. That was fast break points were even. Biggest lead was fairly even within a few points. And now these two teams are one game apart. Phoenix has dropped down to 13 losses and the Aces have 14. So they are within one loss of each other. And New York lost today, and so they now have 13 losses. So this is really getting all jumbled up, and we'll see how Atlanta does. They're going to be playing the Valkyries. So the Valkyries beat them the last time in Atlanta, so they're playing in Valhalla, and that's not an easy place to win. So Atlanta may very well be in this mix too, because right now they're sitting alone in second place. But there are some really tough games coming up, and I have a feeling we are going to see games just like this one the rest of the way. All these teams are fighting for playoff position, and some teams their playoff lives, and it's just wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful basketball to watch. So the Aces get the win, 86-83. So Phoenix outscored them 17-15 in the first. Then the Aces outscored Phoenix in the second, 26-25. See what I'm saying? Like within 2 points of each other. Then the Aces outscored them again, 19-17. And then the fourth quarter, 26-24. The Aces outscored them. So this was just zigzag, lead change. But just terrific game. And the Aces played 9 players. Let's see, 3, and the Phoenix only played 8. I don't know why they did that. They didn't play Kalani Brown, Lexi Held, Loxa, or Kiana Williams. It's like when Phoenix was winning their games, Lexi Held was playing great. I don't know why they're not playing her. Even just to sub in. Her and Loxa was hitting threes for them. So, it's just a whole different thing. So we'll go checking out the scoring. Phoenix had 4 players in double figures, and Aces and Sabally led the charge with 26 points. So this was a very good game for Aces and Sabally. I mean, other than the last play of the game, she shot very well. 26 points. She was 3 for 4 from the foul line. She was 3 for 7 from 3, which is 42%. And then she shot 10 for 16 from the floor, 62%. She had 5 rebounds, 4 assists. She had 2 steals and a block, and then 2 turnovers. She went to inbound the ball the last play of the game, and she thought Thomas was going this way, and she went that way. And threw it right to Chelsea Gray. And that ended the game. But, I mean, there wasn't much time left on the clock. They would have had to pull out a miracle anyway, because they needed a 3. Phoenix needed a 3 just to tie at that point. So, but, a play like that, that's going to stay with you for a while. But just overall great game. Just terrific game. We had Alyssa Thomas, she had 15 points, 3 steals, a block, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. She was 3 for 5 from the foul line and 6 for 11 overall. That's 54%. You know, Phoenix shot well. Well, actually, they both shot almost the exact same percentage team wise. But, this was a good shooting game. Both teams played well. There wasn't a whole lot of turnovers. There wasn't a lot of mistakes. It was the game was well played. The shooting was good. 45% for both teams. That's a good shooting night. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's a good shooting night. So then you had Kalia Copper. She also had 15 points. She had 2 assists, 3 rebounds. She shot 3 for 8 from 3, which is 37%. It's not fantastic, but that's serviceable. And she shot 40% from the floor, which is 6 for 15. So, good overall good shooting from Copper. And then you had Dewana Bonner. She had 12 points to round out the players in double figures. She was 3 for 6 overall, 1 for 3 from 3, and she was 5 for 5 from the foul line. One of the big differences was Phoenix only went to the foul line 14 times. Asia Wilson went to the foul line more than their entire team. She went 15 times. Just crazy. So the Aces went to the foul line 26 times, made 22. That's 11 points. So Phoenix had to make up that difference. And they almost did. I mean, they were within 3, so they did make up that difference. They had 1 more hoop than them, but they had 6 more threes than the Aces did. So just, where one team was doing good in one spot, the other team was doing good in another spot, and they evened themselves out, for virtually the whole game. And, the Aces came out on top. So the Aces had 4 players in double figures, and they were led by Asia Wilson with 30 points and 16 rebounds. And Asia Wilson certainly, putting her name in the hat for MVP. Another 30-point game, 16 rebounds, 14 for 15 from the line. She was 8 for 16 from the floor. So I'm waiting till the end of the season. I mean, as much as Asia is scoring, you look at the scoring from her other teammates, and Chelsea Gray and Jewel Lloyd are starting to come alive, which is making them win. That difference right there is what the difference is between them winning and losing. When they started out in the beginning of the season, those 2 players were not playing well, and it was basically Asia and Jackie. But, as far as the MVP goes, Asia's had some bad games, especially, people are not remembering, but she's had some bad games in the beginning of the season. And they got beat by 50 points by Minnesota. So, I mean, they're playing well now, and she's playing well now. But when you take, it all depends on what you think MVP is. Yeah, okay, she's the leading scorer, but she also takes she takes the most shots, too. And she goes to the foul line all the darn time. So, I think, for me, it's still Napheesa Collier. Napheesa Collier does more things. And she hasn't had a bad game. I mean, she's missing now because she's out with an ankle injury, but Collier hasn't had a bad game. I think except for not that she had a bad game, but she didn't have her normal game in the Commissioner's Cup. And they were in that crazy, 8 games in 10 days kind of thing. But that's the only game where she wasn't Fee being Fee. Whereas, Asia in the beginning of the season, she had some bad games. So, but you know what? It's all your opinion on, or evaluation, or whoever votes for these things, on what they think MVP is. Is it MVP of the league? Is it the most valuable player on your team? Because Minnesota keeps winning without Fee, even against New York. But they're a very, very well-rounded team. But that also shouldn't go against her just because she has a better, well-rounded team than the Aces do. But the Aces are coming on. You know, Chelsea Gray is starting to look like the old Chelsea Gray, and Jewel Lloyd is hitting her threes. So, you know, they are becoming more of a team, which is why they're winning. You can't do it with one player. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Fee or Asia or Kelsey Plum or, you know, Caitlin Clark. Can't do it. You need at least 4 out of your 5 players, and then a good bench to be able to win over a season. So now Jackie Young here, I don't recall her having a bad game. If she did, she may have had one. She has been the epitome of consistency for the Aces this whole time. She's just night in and night out. Just you get the same thing from her night in and night out. She doesn't score the most, but she is very consistent, and she's in, you know, between 15 and 20 points, sometimes more. But she gives you the same amount. She's got, so in this game she had 17 points, she had 5 assists, 7 rebounds, she was 2 for 5 from 3, 7 for 13 overall, and she took a foul shot. So, you know, that's a really well-rounded game, and, you know, I like Jackie. Now, I mean, I don't have anything against Asia. I just, you know, it's everybody's always, there's all this fanfare over Asia, and it's like, oh, well, okay, yeah, I get it, but, you know, she's not going to make them win. You need these other players, and they have to play well. Not just be hanging out there and let it be the Asia show. So, anyway, that's it for that. So then we also had Chelsea Gray and Jewel Lloyd. So Chelsea Gray, 16 points. She's starting to look like her old self. I don't know how many games I've covered. I've covered every game of the Aces. But I kept shaking my head like, what is up with Chelsea Gray? She just doesn't. She's not shooting. There's something wrong. Don't know what it is, but doesn't appear to be wrong anymore. She had 16 points, 9 assists. That's more the stat line of Chelsea Gray in the past. She ended up with 2 blocks, 3 steals. She had 1 turnover, 2 rebounds. She was 6 for 6 from the line, 5 for 11 from the floor, and she was 0 for 2 from 3. And then we have Jewel Lloyd. Jewel Lloyd was 2 for 5 from 3 and 4 for 9 overall. And she had 10 points. So those two right there, they are the difference between how the Aces started and how they're so far finishing. We'll see if it continues the rest of the way. I think they have a pretty hard schedule coming up. But we'll see. You know, they got this one, and this was a tough game. So the rest of the Aces, Kirsten Bell had 4 points. She was 0 for 3 from 3, 2 for 6 from the floor. And then Alyssa Smith had 7 points. She hit a key basket for them down the stretch in that last, minute or so. She also had 9 rebounds. So she was in there fighting it out. Asia had 16, Alyssa Smith had 9, and Jackie Young had 7 rebounds. They were crashing the boards in there. And then Dana Evans didn't score. She had an assist and 2 turnovers. She only took 2 shots. And then Aaliyah Nye, she hit a hoop. And Kia Stokes was in there, but she didn't score at all. So that rounds it out. So you had the Aces actually only shot 22% from 3. Big thing for them was the foul shots. So anyway, good battle. Love to see it. Love to see it. So now I'm going to be moving on to the other crazy game. This one and the Seattle game against Atlanta was another nail biter of the late night Ion games. Friday nights on Ion. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you next time.